Welcome back to the Dinner Party Show. I'm Christopher Rice.
And I'm Eric Shaw Quinn.
And we are flipping through papers, and Ann Rice is eating caviar. She's stuffed her mouth full of crackers and sturgeon eggs.
I am. Caviar is wonderful.
Yes, that's the only thing in her writer when she comes to visit us. She likes caviar, and so I always like putting it.
It's like ground up little vampires. It's all black.
Oh, God. Okay.
Sparkly.
Small vampires.
It's ground up little Twilight vampires. That's why it sparkles.
So I'm happy to announce that some of our listeners who had problems with the media player earlier are hearing us fine. Todd Barcelo says there is no time change in the Philippines, and the time there is currently 8:30 a.m., and he is listening to our broadcast live.
So he's having breakfast with us.
Yeah. And also, we want a special shout-out and comforting hand to our listener and loyal party person, Greg Wilkie, who lost his wife, Allison, recently. Greg has joined us this evening, and he would like you to know that he has loved you and your book since he was 17 years old.
I love Greg.
We love you, Greg.
I hope
Thanks
things
for listening, Greg.
Yeah, I'm glad you're with us. Take care. We love you so much.
We have a community here, many of whom are your fans, but they call themselves the Party People. Actually, you named them the Party People. That was the nickname that stuck. And they take care of each other. It's really wonderful. And every now and then we have a show called You're the Guest, where they are the guest, and we say fun things about them on the air. And
when they let us
answer their
talk.
questions. When they let us talk, indeed. Indeed.
You're going to have to bring them here live sometime. And there's a patio out there where you can put all these chairs and broadcast under the stars.
We have a call-in line now where people can actually call in and leave their comments, which we've encouraged them to do, and they're still all too chicken.
We've had a few, but they pretend to be other people. They try to be their own characters, like we do here on the show. But the call-in line is 323-PEZ-TDPS. P-E-Z-TDPS. Just figure that out.
And next week, we're actually doing the dinner birthday party show, so we're looking for birthday greetings. You can just call
it's our birthday.
And leave us a happy birthday.
It's going to be about us for a change here on the dinner party show.
Yeah, because there's just not nearly enough about Christopher.
Or Eric.
Or, yes, we're very shy and
What happened to Eric in a crosswalk today?
This one time we're going to make it about us. So yeah, call in and just say happy birthday and your name and where you're from, and then we'll play it on the air. It'll be great fun.
And back to our most important party person, our current guest, my mother, Ann Rice, our premier party person.
Yeah,
James Kevin Gray would like to know what brought Lestat's voice back to your head. We talked about some of that at the start of the show, but he also wants to know what part of Lestat's personality is closest to yours.
Oh boy. Devil May Care comes to mind right away. The Brat Prince personality. I'm just going to do what I want to do, and nobody's going to make me do anything else. And if I don't want to talk to you, I'm not going to talk to you. And if I want to come in here and talk to you, I want every other novel you're writing out of this room. You know, it's like that swaggering independence, that defiance. You know.
Is it like a Beat Generation thing? Is he?
No, they were too cool. They were too cynical.
He's pretty cool.
He's
not
hot
cynical.
cool. He's hot cool.
You did tell me when you were first working to capture his voice in The Vampire Lestat, after you wrote him an interview with the Vampire, you read a lot of detective novels like James Cain and Raymond Chandler.
I did. That was very helpful when I wrote The Vampire Lestat in 1984. And I do think he talks like that, and I put that right into The Vampire Lestat, that he himself likes to pretend he's Sam Spade, and he was reading the Black Magazine and Sam Spade stories back in whenever Dashiell Hammett first wrote them, and that is his style, kind of, to speak in slang when he wants to, and then to speak in a very literary way when he wants to.
His vampire noir.
Yeah,
I like that.
He's a poet with a swagger, you know, and I don't know what made his voice suddenly come back, but last summer it definitely came pouring through. There had been many false starts where it just wasn't right, you know, and I'd write 40 pages and I'd think, this is not it, this is not it. And I'd get very compulsive about tearing it all up. I don't tear it up on the computer, I just save it, you know. And I have all that stuff saved. But finally, suddenly, he just started speaking. And it was, and I was writing like 13, 14 hours a day, just taking dictation, just writing section after section. And this novel is not all in his voice. There are many sections that are in other voices. They're in the third person from the point of view of different characters who appear, other vampires and some mortal characters in the novel, and some Talamasca characters. But all of their voices started pouring through. And for some reason, it just worked. I think all you can do as a writer to prepare for that kind of thing, you can fill yourself up with a lot of stimulating reading. I was reading a lot of detective fiction again. I must have read 5 Jack Reacher novels last year from Lee Child. I reread The Godfather. I reread all kinds of different novels that were all about narrative and storytelling to kind of loosen myself up, to stop compulsively closing down on my own imagination, to open myself to it. And that helped a lot.
How are you experiencing that compulsive closing down on your own imagination? Because I have my own experience of that. But was it that you wouldn't want to focus on the plot, or you would want to focus on another element of the story, like the atmospheres or the settings? What was going on for you that got unblocked by that process?
The courage to just keep going.
Right.
Yeah, I think what happens with me is I write 4 or 5 sentences and then say, oh, no, that can't begin like that, and throw it away. Then I write another 4 or 5 sentences. Then I write 4 or 5 pages and throw that away. Finally, you just have to stick with it. You have to tell yourself, stop being a perfectionist. Stop editing and re-editing what you just did. Let it start rolling for you. You can go back later and reread the beginning. You know, stop just running to the lavatory and washing your hands trying to get them clean, trying to get everything perfect. You know, just calm down and keep going. And I've had that problem all my writing life.
Right.
You know, my office used to be littered with unfinished first pages of the book I was working on, as I would tear them out of the typewriter and throw them on the floor.
I know that feeling. It's like you almost feel like by the time you finally commit to a first page, you know the whole book. Like it's
exactly.
Like the first line writes the whole book somehow in some sort of magical kind of way, and you just try and capture that first line. I've just been through that with the murder mystery that I'm working on, of trying to find exactly the starting point.
Yes, exactly, and that can destroy you if you can't make yourself relax and just go forward. You know, I read an essay a while back that somebody posted on my Facebook page about switching to writing by hand. If you can't do it on the typewriter, go try a pen and see if you can make the flow come with the pen. I thought that was pretty good advice. But anyway, his voice started to come. I started to write about it.
I will say, not to be spoilery, but as a tease, that I believe that when you read this book, you will see how Lestat came back to man.
Really? Well, that's a bold statement.
I believe that it's
a bold statement.
I believe that it's intrinsic in the way that the book is written, and the story that you actually tell in this particular book, I think, is almost descriptive of Lestat's return to you.
We have a listener on the page, Bobby Carmaker. I hope I always say that. I always live in terror of pronouncing somebody's name wrong. He would like us to know that the Twilight books are what introduced him to you.
Well, I actually love the Twilight books. I have nothing against them at all. And when I made the joke about little sparkly vampires chopped up in the caviar, I didn't mean to be disrespectful.
Oh, I didn't hear the sparkly part, and I don't think they did either, but they did now. No, there's the full quote. Nobody's going to be paying attention to the new book.
Let me clarify this. I think Stephenie Meyer did a great thing. I really do. And I mean, I'm in awe of what she did, and I don't see any reason to make fun of this particular person's vampires or somebody else's vampires. The concept of the vampire is a big, rich concept. It's wonderful that Stephenie took it and did something completely original with it. Same with Charlaine Harris. I love what Charlaine Harris did with Sookie Stackhouse and the True Blood thing. I think it's just great. None of that stopped me from coming back.
I think what was that, a dream description? It's the overlap of the peri, what was it? The
paracosm.
The paracosm. Yeah. It's an overlap of vampire paracosms. They're all very much a part of the same sort of that interview with the vampire world. And I think they all have said that of you and of the world that you created. It inspired their sort of branch of that world.
Absolutely. I mean, we're all doing our own thing, and there's room for all of us. And I think Stephenie Meyer has turned on millions of kids to reading who maybe wouldn't have been into reading and the joy of reading.
Yeah, for everybody who says that reading is going out, have a look at the sales for those. The same thing with J.K. Rowling with the Harry Potter. She did the same thing. I mean, it's all good. Every time a writer makes it big like Stephenie Meyer, we all make it big. Absolutely.
It's good for there's no. I made a joke about sparkly vampires in the caviar, and I don't mean anything mean about it at all.
And they're delicious.
So you had a music request, which we are going to accommodate. We want to have more time in the hour to talk to you, but we're going to play a short portion from a song by an artist named Mary Fall, who many may know as the lead singer from a band called the October Project.
Right.
And this is Exiles, which was written for The Wolves of Midwinter, your last book.
Yes,
is that correct?
Yes, yeah. And the rumor has it that Mary will be at the Vampire Ball in New Orleans.
Oh,
so she will come, and I hope that she will sing Exiles
Here's
for us.
hoping.
And she is one of the people to whom this novel is dedicated. Mary wonderful.
Fantastic. All right, so here is Exiles by Mary Fall. We're going to play a short sample, and then we'll be back here on the Dinner Party Show with Anne Rice.